Hey there.
Hi.
I'm Aaron Rhodes, executive producer at Wonderview.
I'm Tywen. I'm evangelist at Pixvana.
And we are here drinking coffee and talking about VR cameras.
That's right.
Thanks for joining. Today we're going to be talking about the V1 Pro, which is an impressive array of 9 cameras. There's one hidden in here. I'll just unscrew to do the reveal. Ready?
Voila.
There it is. It's nice.
And the cool thing about this camera is that each of these lenses is hiding a micro Four Thirds sensor, so the image coming out of this entire rig is really, really high quality.
Absolutely. Yeah, the cool thing about this and most, if not all, ZCAM rigs is the variable aperture here. So you can customize the exposure per camera, which is nice. Have that manual control.
Yeah.
Bet you wish that you had the aperture control on the sun right now, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. So why don't we talk about just, first of all, the size and the usability of this rig, because it is relatively large, but also for what you're getting, it is pretty small for the 9 camera array.
It is, yeah. I mean, all in all, it's a pretty compact rig, but it is a little bit larger than your average VR camera today.
Yeah.
You know, with the Insta360 Pro is a little bit more contained. It only has 6 cameras. This has 9, right? So 8 around and 1 up. So the form factor, while it is a little bit bigger in comparison to other cameras like the Candao and the Insta, it does a great job. I've shot with it for a stereo project in LA, and the overlap with the 8 cameras around the horizon really does a nice job. There's less artifacts, I've found. The Candao does a great job, and the resolution is a little bit lower, right?
This one, the stereo output's only 7K at 30 frames a second. Whereas with the Candao R, for example, it's 8K by 8K in stereo. So it is slightly lower resolution, and this is about a year older than the Candao R. But, I mean, as you said, there are more cameras, and that's what the size is for. So you actually get the IPD of a human eye more accurately on this rig.
Right. We should note that we are actually filming this video with the Candao R currently, so that's what you're looking at.
Yep.
We'll have some footage that we can show you of the ZCAM V1 Pro rather after this, so you can kind of look at it through its lens, which I think is really important. Power-wise, it's got a pretty typical power port here that interfaces with your V-Lock batteries.
So here we have ZCAM power port. I'm not sure exactly the specs on that.
Yeah, so that just goes in there, and then this plugs into your V-Lock battery.
D-tap right here.
Yep. It also has USB port and Ethernet.
Why don't we show the bottom toward the camera?
Oh, sure.
As well, just so
there we go.
Kind of see that.
And then it's got a nice readout here of all the various cameras and their statuses. Go from red to green depending on SD card status.
And actually, I really like the physical buttons on these cameras. And same with the Candao, because sometimes the app just cuts out. Right. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is just being interfered with, or the Bluetooth just is out of range. So you have to go and stop recording by actually clicking the camera, and it is useful to have there as a backup.
Yeah, I think on most of these cameras, they're reliant on the iPhone or S7 or 8 phone interface app.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have an interface that you could actually see your picture on the camera as well. But that's going to increase your size. So I agree. The physical buttons on here is nice.
Yeah.
The app interface, pretty decent.
It's okay. I mean, I think we've used the ZCAM controller on the PC, which I think is a better experience overall because it's a direct Ethernet to Ethernet connection. Whereas with an iPhone app, you have to have a TP link, a small little router that you connect to the camera, and then your phone connects to the router, and it's a lot more can go wrong. But overall, it is a pretty okay experience. You get a readout from every lens. Or no, sorry. This camera, you don't get a readout from every lens.
Okay.
You only get lens readout from the A cam. So that can be a little hard to do compositionally.
Yeah, and I believe that the A camera also drives the exposure when you're in a ganged mode. So if you have a subject that you want to expose for, the A camera needs to be right there front and center.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the way that we shot in LA.
Yeah. So maybe we should also talk about the price that's kind of been looming in the background.
This is a spendy little rig, isn't it?
Yeah. And we don't own this. We're currently renting it from Radiant in LA. And even then, it is, I don't even know how much it costs to rent, but it's not cheap at all. Especially when you compare it to cameras like the Insta360 Pro 2 now, or the Candows, which are doing similar features, similar image quality.
Yeah, those are, the Insta is about 3,500, and the Candow is about
7K, yeah.
65, 7. So I think this is probably in upwards of 10 more. So yeah, spendy little unit, but again, I think that the stereo from this rig is really exceptional. The overlap is good enough such that your stereo parallax is really nicely offset.
Would you say this is a run and gun rig at all, or is it mostly like a on-set, in-house sort of deal?
It's a little bit of a slower setup rig, I think.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a little bit more purpose with your setups.
Yeah.
Although it does a fine job in terms of, getting it set up fairly quickly, but I think to do it right, you want to have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
The nadir is lacking, so you probably want to shoot a clean plate down there. Although the difference with this rig is that it's got a zenith, so that when you're shooting stereo, it's going to converge and go down into a monoscopic view up above. We've actually found that when we were using some of the preliminary stitches from that LA shoot, we'd actually exclude the zenith camera. Just for computational purposes, it actually performed better. But technically, it should have more image vertically.
And I can imagine this being used on a very heavy drone, like a DJI Matrix with like a quadcopter, and then having the downward-facing camera be the nadir.
Sure.
And in that case, I can see that being really useful for those situations, because you don't want the whole drone up here anyways. So I can see some specialty cases where that actually, the zenith camera comes in really, really handy.
Yeah, this is a pretty heavy rig.
Yeah.
You definitely have to have a full force drone.
We can put up an actual kilogram number right here in post.
And we'll do the price as well, since we're neglecting that detail in this review. But all in all, it's a great camera. Highly recommended for stereo and for monoscopic as well. A little bit of a little less resolute in comparison to the newer cameras like the Candow R for resolution. But solid camera.
Cool. I would say the same. If you have the money to spend, it's a great quality camera. But that being said, there are some other cheaper options if you're just a professional and you have to worry about budget. But if you're just gonna go all out, then this is the camera.
Yeah, the 4/3 sensor also.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Can't wait till the full frame sensor VR cameras.
Yeah.
I guess the red camera.
The Reds do that, yeah. Red rigs.
But that rig is about this big.
Yeah. And a little more expensive too.
Slightly. Alrighty, cool. Well, thanks for joining us for
Thank you, Aaron.
talking VR with filmmakers, drink coffee.
See you next time.